The edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozugbakun. Today on the Hangout, Buhari expresses outrage over state governors' inability to pay salaries. Agbakoba sues Buhari, wants him to drop the oil minister portfolio. And later in the program, Alaafin makes Gani Adams Are Ona Kakanfo of Yoruba land. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Asuko James, and Majid Jamiu. So the show starts now. Thank you for joining us once again. For several years now, the abnormal has gradually become the norm that Nigerian workers have had to live with. They work and live in fear of how and when their wages will come. They earn so little, yet they are owed several months of salaries, allowances by their various state governments. The sad tale of survival has been told, and many share their pain and wonder why any governor should owe its workers. Ironically, some of the governors that owe salaries defeat their own claim of being broke with their lavish use of state wealth. But the president is no longer satisfied with their excuses. Yesterday, he expressed total dissatisfaction with the governor's inability to pay workers' salary despite receiving bailout funds from the federal government. Will the president's outrage change this wicked trend? Babajide, I remember after President Muhammadu Buhari took the oath of office and that initiated the first move for this bailout. We're here on Journalist Hangout and we told Nigerians, you especially told Nigerians that it wasn't a good move. And your view was like unpopular at that time because a lot of people say, oh, these governors, they have the backlog and a new government that wants to alleviate the suffering of the people, and President Buhari extended this kind gesture to these governors. And we've seen Paris Club, we've seen 2 bailouts, and Paris Club funds being distributed. But the bottom line is that Governor Yaya Bello of Kogi State went to Aso Rock and he granted interview to the State House correspondent. He said he was just owing 2 months. The next day, the Nigerian Labour Congress in that same state said, no, sir, it's 21 months. Is it 21 months or 18 months? And a lot of other governors you see. Now, my question is that these governors had the effrontery to go to President Buhari yesterday to seek for another relief.
Well, the truth is, shame is alien to many Nigerian governors. So I'm not surprised that they can go to a man who has issued out almost 2 trillion. Almost 2 trillion in form of bailouts to these governors. I'm not surprised that they've gone back to him. Abdulaziz Yari leads a pack of governors who do not have a care in the world. Because if you actually respect the workers, you will not be doing what you are doing. I said it at that time that it would not work because I know these governors very well. You see, I knew the federal government would not be able to enforce transparency.
Once they get the money.
I knew. That was why I said it will fail. And I also realized that the first bailout was a little more than 300 billion. And I knew that that first bailout could not even clear the backlog of salaries that some of these governors had to pay. So that was why I said at that time that it would not work. After that, President Buhari created another opportunity through what they call the budget support program. You know, that where the finance minister was talking about the fact that they will monitor the way states use these funds and all that. It still didn't achieve anything. After that, the president went straight to the liquefied natural gas dividends in excess of $2 billion, had the money shared to these governors. It still didn't solve the problem. After that, the president again, from the petroleum tax fund, the president again brought money. Naturally, that money should go to the excess crude account. But with governors who cannot pay salaries, you can't be talking about saving for the rainy day. He went, brought that money again, shared to these governors. After that came the Paris Club refunds. They shared Paris Club refund to these governors. And we still have governors who are owing about 7 months as we speak. Some governors have not paid pension for many years. They've not paid pension for years. Let me not say many because that will amount to an exaggeration. They've not paid pension for years. That is bad enough. Whether it is many or a few years, it's bad enough. When you deserve to be paid your pension because you work for it. We had a governor who was actually even recommending that to workers that they should forfeit 50% of their pension. It is that bad. You understand? It is that bad. So this president is already frustrated. The other day, he called in a meeting with traditional rulers. He was literally telling them that the present generation of governors are unserious people. And he was telling them, look, I've done everything that is humanly possible to stop this suffering. He's a president who cannot watch people suffer. You may say anything you like about this Katsina man. You may say anything you like. But we know that he feels for the poor. And this has been his nature for years. For anyone who has known him, that's why the people who move close to him, the people who can die for Buhari, are the poor people. The elites will always wish that Buhari dies. Any day they wake up, they will wish that as they are waking up, Buhari is refusing to wake up. They don't like him.
It's a nightmare.
Yes, they don't like him, and he also doesn't like them. So, because the poor people are the people that Buhari cherishes his relationship with them, he doesn't want the poor people to suffer. And these workers are poor people. How much are they even paying these workers? I still know states in Nigeria that have not been able to implement the minimum wage.
Yes.
So, and in spite of that, you are owing workers. So, okay. What else can the president do? Do they expect him now to stop paying federal workers and just what ought to be used to pay federal workers, he should just give to states so that states can pay? Even if he does that, these governors will still not be able to pay. The president pleaded that, look, what I'm releasing to you, please and please, spend it on worker salaries. I know a governor who went to Abuja, got bailout fund, yet he was not owing one naira as worker salary. I know governors who went to Abuja, despite the fact the president said, at worst, set aside 50% of this fund, this Paris Club refund for worker salaries, who have chosen to spend the Paris Club refund on infrastructure. I mean, it's unfair.
MJ, the president even said as much as, I don't know how you sleep. How will you sleep without paying workers' salary? And when you aggregate what is happening, the reality on ground is that these governors, they are saying it's the economic situation that they've been grappling with this, that is the mess they met with, some of them from their predecessors, that they met it on ground, and some of them, they just, this is their second term. I don't know who they are going to blame that one, but the bottom line is that if you look at worker salary and the most critical one, some people will tell you that I've paid my worker salary till date. If you now ask them, local government workers, they'll keep quiet. If you now ask them, pensioners, they keep quiet. Like Delta State now, I saw somebody this morning said, we've paid salary till last month. Then I asked him, local government worker. He kept quiet.
Ayo, we have a president who is very compassionate, who has the interest of the masses at heart. You might say he's slow at taking decisions and stuff like that, but then you can see him asking those governors that came. I mean, there were 7 of them, with Yari leading the pack, and one governor representing each geopolitical zone. That was the arrangement. Akeredolu represented Southwest, Kwara, the Gara represented. Well, for Akeredolu, what he did was he met a backlog of 7 months.
Your governor wasn't there?
No, it's Akeredolu that represented Fayose. I'm still coming to that. Okay. What Akeredolu did was to negotiate with the workers. Let's take the backlog aside. Let me start afresh from February.
That's the daily independent model. What does it take those workers for?
But no, wait, Jide, no, let's put this for you. Let us put this thing in percentage. But the independent model,
when you take over office,
both liability and the assets.
Fine, but then
you can't. It's not only the parts of office that you appropriate.
No, Jide, wait.
Other things.
Jide, wait now. Jide, wait. Jide, wait. No, in fairness to him, it has been when he got the first bailout. He has only received 1 bailout. He paid 1 from the backlog, and to date, he is not owing from February till date in Ondo State. You can ask them. Of course, I did my investigations. From February till date, Akeredolu is not owing.
But what he inherited?
What he inherited, he has even offset part of it.
Just 1?
Yes, he has paid 1. But then he told them as the bailout and support come and consolidation comes, he will continue to take care of the arrears. That is promising.
So he's expecting bailout to keep coming.
Well, that is promising. Then a state like Ekiti, for example, they will tell you that they are paying, they are owing. The governor was on a live program. He said he's owing just 2 months. And the workers the following days issued a statement that he's owing between 4 and 7 months. Now, the EFCC just released the Commissioner for Finance and Auditor General. And the statement of the EFCC the following day stated that the government of Ekiti State took bailout funds.
I don't think it's peculiar to Ekiti State.
No, wait.
Let's hear what he wants to say.
Took the bailout fund, pensioners' funds, and put it in an account that was yielding interest, 6 million naira per month. That was a statement from the EFCC. What could be more callous than that?
That is when we now subject that to scrutiny,
and
we find it to be true.
Very, very true.
No, you see, no, you can't say that at this stage. Except you have now conducted a form of inquiry of your own.
It is.
Because we've had the FCC say this kind of things, and then at the end of the day, we'll discover that it's not true.
You're fine, but
that is the thing.
When you get to the court of law?
Yes.
Okay.
Let them go and prove it there.
But that is...
I remember Abdulaziz Muitala Yaku.
Mojid, let's just leave Ekiti. Let's look at the general picture.
I'm just... like Osun will tell you they are not paying, they are not owing salaries. Whereas what Osun has been paying is half salaries. The same thing...
It will have been worse if he does not pay half. I know some governors who just choose to if he does not pay half. I know some governors who just choose to just refuse to pay.
But then,
and when they refuse to pay because they were thinking that, you know what they were doing? You see, when they refused to pay because they felt, what I have cannot pay for a whole month. The salary of everyone for a month. Then it began to mount. Instead of coming up with this idea of let us, which is what Dixon too did in Bayelsa, you pleaded with them, says, I can afford 50%.
Okay. So, these governors should think outside of the box to wear their thinking caps. Let them go into farming. Look at what Lagos and Kebbi is doing. The president praised the governor of Kebbi and that of Lagos. Even yesterday, he did in his October 1 speech that collaboration has brought down the level. It has increased employment in conjunction with the CBN Anchor borrowership scheme. The lake rise, Lagos and Kebbi, it has reduced the pressure on imported rice. Other states can take that cue.
Even if they take to farming, they can't pay that salary. I will give you an example, because look at Benue, for example. Before the former governor left.
Something instead of just
yes, but farming alone, how much are they going to realize from farming?
The infrastructure farming, they are putting that money into is of no benefit to the people.
See, look, we have a situation in which some states now, the wage bill is about 7 billion. And what comes to them is not even more than 3 billion. How are they going to cope? Because before Suswam left, Suswam increased salaries of workers. Yes, just before he left. That's the situation that the man in Benue has found himself. And the one in Bayelsa, Silva took loans. So before Dixon does anything with any money coming from Federation account, they first remove the payment for the loans.
Okay, Asuko, let me have your intervention on this.
I think, like we all say, the president has done well. He has good intentions. From so far, the president has been, it looks like a man, or is a man that seems to, he wakes up every day, and the next thing he hears is that so many people are crying out. They finish working at the end of the month, they are not being
If you remember his response to Nigeria getting out of recession.
Recession and all that. And so, it means that he's putting in all the efforts, and so little is coming out. He wakes up in the morning, the first thing he hears is that so many people are crying. Oh, they've not been paid salaries. Why? And then he's pushing out money. And some people are just there, sitting and buying cars, buying properties everywhere. You know, so that his tone yesterday was a tone of someone who is pained. I'm very sure if he were to be in his military uniform, he would have either
lock them up,
lock all of them up. But no, honestly, no, because the way it sounded yesterday was like, how do you sleep in the? You wake up in the morning. If you see
these workers,
you see them, they are crying. And meanwhile, you have
they can't pay rent.
Loads and loads of cooks, drivers. You have all of them. They live wealthy. And yet you can't pay 18,000, even less.
You need to go to the government houses and see
every
them
day.
Every meal, breakfast, and lunch and dinner.
They live like
and they're traveling by charter aircraft.
Some of them don't even stay in their states. Yet they collect.
They hardly stay in Abuja and Lagos. They hardly stay in their states.
Yet they collect this bailout funds.
No, but it's understandable for a particular governor. He has wives in 3 different states. So if he spends 2 days here, he moves to Abuja, spends 2 days just to minister to those his 3 wives. So that is the thing.
Can you tell us that
He shouldn't be with the bailout. He shouldn't be with the bailout.
He knows himself.
We know your governor.
No, I'm not talking about my governor.
But your governor
I don't even know how many wives my governor has. These days I've decided to shut my mind towards him. A governor that in his state.
My governor has
22. The pensioners. There are some pensioners who are being owed 22 months in Kogi State. And you want me to still bother myself about that governor? 22 months. And when the bailout came, the only thing that the people of Kogi saw is SUVs. These American Ford SUVs was what people saw. The roads in Kogi still remain the worst in Nigeria. So what are we talking about? And then you step out of the meeting with the president and say you are owing just 2 months.
Just 2 months.
I mean, look, even if we must lie, let us lie with moderation. Let's lie with moderation.
So maybe he meant 2 months. He wanted to say 2 and 1. 21.
Was he misquoted?
Maybe. Maybe.
No, okay, gentlemen, Mujid. Now, look at this situation. If we continue like this and we look at the effects on workers and the IGR, most of these states, you were talking about thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
Most of these states, I know a state like Ogun State, they worked so much on their IGR.
Yeah.
Today, Ogun State is doing very well when it comes to IGR.
Thanks to Lagos State.
Support from Lagos State.
Thanks to Lagos. Don't overpraise them over this thing. It's largely, let me tell you, the IGR that people make so much noise about Ogun State is largely from PAYE. And it was based on their agreement between both states. That those of us
since it's APC,
who are residing in Ogun State, our pay should go to Ogun State. Yeah. That is the thing. There's no magic that has been done. In fact, most states in Nigeria, the bulk of their, apart from Lagos, the bulk of their tax revenue is from payee. That's why when workers are sacked, when workers are fired, it affects the revenue profile of the states. So it's not as if Ogun State has done anything extraordinary. So, except you have proof, then let us debate it.
Yeah, the thing is, like I said, IGR is not, apart from about 5 states, you can't really leverage on IGR. Apart from Lagos, which is actually out of the park. The IGR of Lagos is alone. I think
somebody said if the IGR of Lagos can take together like 25,
it's about 32 states. Yeah, that's the IGR of
Governor
Lagos.
General.
Yes, and that's why but then we must also commend the ingenuity of the governors in Lagos, because even with that IGR, if they want to owe salaries, they can still owe salaries.
Yeah.
Tinubu had opportunity to owe salaries. When
Obasanjo stopped
the Nigerian God of Impunity,
decided
to seize
local government.
Seize the salary allocation of Lagos State.
Lagos State, no, for local governments, it's the local government allocation that is seized.
Yes, that's 100 billion.
That's accrued to 100 billion. 100
billion. So why did they even seize it at that time?
Well, that's
because you appear to know more about it.
It's local government salary that is seized.
So I'm asking just for you to.
It's Baba in Ota that can answer that question. And the jokes apart, I think the governors should not just go there and enjoy the luxury, the perks of office. They should
security votes.
See, they should embark on projects that are beneficial to the people. See, if we concentrate on supplying foodstuffs alone to Lagos, Lagos consumes.
To bring down the prices of.
Lagos consumes 3 billion worth of food items on a daily basis. On a daily basis. So if states in the southwest alone just decide to cultivate,
let's feed Lagos.
Yes, just supply your food items to Lagos. I mean, you can see the cooperation between Lagos and Kebbi. I keep referring to it. Every December, every festive period, even now, on a monthly basis, you have about 500 trailers of rice, lake rice, coming from Kebbi to Lagos. Now they have taken it further by ensuring that there is irrigated farming in Kebbi. There is a huge rice blending plant in Kebbi, courtesy of the Lagos State initiative. The federal government can also replicate this through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture in some other states, and also find ways of making our silos and other storage facilities to work. Because even in some states, if you produce some of these products, if you don't have very good storage facilities, you can't store them.
Okay, let me take Abubakar is calling us from Kano State. Thank you for joining us, Abu.
Yes, how are you doing there?
Very well, Abu.
Abu, yeah, okay.
Alhamdulillah, Jide, how are you doing? I appreciate your contributions, especially when you said the president really cares for the people or for the masses. That is true.
Yes.
But to me, that is not enough. When you give bailout, the first bailout when you give, they have to retire, they have to show what they have done before giving the second bailout. It's just like sending your child to school. He comes back, he puts the books down without you going through the books to see whether he's doing good or not. So giving the first bailout does not mean that the president should keep quiet. Before he issued the second bailout, they must now tell him what have you done with it. Is it the purposeful issues? Did you pay the salary? If the explanation is satisfactory, then they issue the second bailout. But how many times has this particular bailout have been given to these states, and they do not do anything? And I am sure I agree with them, Mr. Gili, that if given another bailout, they will do the same.
Thank you.
So the best thing for him was to monitor.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you,
it's correct.
All right, rounding off on this.
Yes, because I think that is what the federal government would have done. they would have sought for how the details of how the previous bailout was spent, the number of the salaries that were paid, the details of the workers that were paid before issuing out another bailout fund. Because now, because bailout is just like a gift. It's not like the excess crude fund that we just give, and then if not, they will just sue the federal government.
Is it a gift?
No, it's not a gift. It's a loan.
It's a loan.
But
when it comes to
they'll keep
interest.
No. It is the Paris. It is the Paris Club fund
exactly.
that is a gift.
Yes.
But the bailout and the budget support fund are like facilities that they pay back.
Flexible.
Yeah,
You know,
Over
what I'm
20
even
years.
trying to say is just,
flexible.
you know, because I know that, okay, they can't sue the federal government because of that.
Yeah, sure.
You understand?
It's like a cushioning effect.
Unlike the excess crude fund that is already written in black and white in the constitution. You know, but be that as it may, I also want to look at the NLC. What has been the role of the NLC? I know there was a time that you were saying name and shame. They happen to be a
Most of them they have
because
compromised.
they have seriously compromised. So
They
all
have
the state
compromised.
chapters whereby these the salaries have not been paid,
We don't have union
what is
again.
wrong?
All
What is
right.
wrong? They should be going on strike.
We have to move on. Coming up on Journalists Hangout, Agbakuba sues Buhari, wants him to drop oil minister portfolio. Details shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back. There's no doubt that the NNPC rots and stinks of corruption. In fact, it is best known by many as corruption seats of the nation. Before now, it served mostly as the ATM of a few politicians and their cronies rather than the wealth bank of the nation. Many called for a state of emergency in the sector because of its apparent decay. So when President Muhammadu Buhari appointed himself as the Minister of Petroleum in 2015, it was welcomed by most Nigerians considering his integrity ratings. But the latest scandal that has rocked the corporation for the past weeks and the president's long silence brought his integrity under public scrutiny. Now, former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Olisa Agbakuba, has asked the courts to sack President Buhari as the petroleum minister. Does Agbakuba have the locus standi? Does he have a point that he's trying to prove? Jide?
Yeah.
Olisa Agbakuba, 2 weeks ago, or last week, actually went to court to challenge the composition of the NNPC board because he said it fell short of recommendation of the federal character. And when you look at the way the names that pops up when that board was formed, so he has got that one is pending in court. More so, he's saying that, Mr. President, no, it is wrong. Since you didn't go through the National Assembly, since you are the president, since you weren't screened for this position, for that fact that Olusegun Obasanjo introduced this in 1999 does not make it right. If you remember, Olusegun Obasanjo was just sometimes they would put Funsho Kukpo there, sometimes it was Gayos Obaseki, and another time Edmond Dakro, but he was the one supervising it, but the GMD of NNPC, they were the one reporting to him directly. We never had petroleum minister. It was a dual position. Now, President Buhari has taken, that same lane. So, do you think Olisa Agbakuba is on a wild goose chase?
I think he's going to lose the case. From all checks that I have made, I think he's going to lose this case. I will go for exactly what Femi Falana-San suggested, which was what we suggested, that the president should on his own give up that position. Taking him to court will not achieve the aim because Agbakuba will lose. You see, Section 5, subsection 1 of the Constitution says, subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the executive powers of the Federation shall be vested in the President and may subject, as aforesaid, and to the provisions of any law made by the National Assembly, be exercised by him either directly or through the Vice President and Ministers of the Government of the Federation, or officers in the public service. So what this is saying is that the president can delegate. When the law says that the executive powers of the federation have been given to him, it means that he can occupy any of those positions, apart from the Attorney General, the position of Attorney General of the Federation.
Which was mentioned in the Constitution.
There is no ministerial position that the Constitution recognizes. So the president can choose to exercise that position.
To be a finance minister.
Or delegate. You cannot take a man to court, for example, because he refused to delegate. When the same Constitution vests in him, has vested in him the executive powers. So in this case, he is going to lose. When he's talking about Section 138 of the Constitution, which says that the president shall not hold any other executive position, what that section envisages is a situation in which the president, before he became president, must give up maybe his job as someone working in any of the MDAs, or even as local government chairman, or even as governor. What that section says that he cannot hold both positions. So laws are subject to interpretation. It can easily be interpreted that that is what that provision, the section 138 envisages, that so that the president cannot, as president, hold on to positions like maybe chairman of a local government, executive secretary in one of the MDAs and all that, and still be president. But I also did not hear the president announce himself officially as Minister of Petroleum. So if he never announced himself as Minister of Petroleum,
really,
did you hear at any time that the president publicly said, I'm the Minister of Petroleum?
I thought during the inauguration, the Federal Executive Council.
The inauguration, right?
When you are sure of that?
I can't.
There was no announcement. The only announcement was that.
If he did not announce it,
Ibe Kasuku was announced as Minister of State.
So if he didn't announce himself,
that position is not.
If he didn't announce himself, the case will be dismissed. Because you cannot, if a man didn't say, "Oh, I'm the Minister of Petroleum," and you file a case in court purporting that he is the Minister of Petroleum, that case is dead on arrival.
That means you'll be called busybody.
That's the thing. That's the way the law. That's the way the law functions.
Judges. That's the way MJ.
The lawyers will tell you. I love this particular caption. The way they put it, says "Reps is ipsa loquitur." The
fact on ground speaks for itself.
In this case, I doubt if the facts can speak for itself for our learned son, who has put in more than 40 years at the
struggle, activism,
at the bar. So the Section 38 is talking about that. And the Section 38 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, states that the president cannot hold any other position or payable employment apart from the president. So the ministerial that Agbakuba is talking about, like Jide said, when was it pronounced that Buhari is Minister of Petroleum Resources? The only pronouncement we have is that of the Minister of State. So if you check the cabinet list, you won't see Minister or Senior Minister of Petroleum Resources, Muhammad Buhari. You won't see it there. And now, another thing is that even if the case goes to court, the president has immunity. You cannot sue him, he can't be sued. And he cannot also sue. Now, but it was clever by joining the Attorney General Minister of Justice, Malami, as the respondent in this suit. But then, he also referred to Section 147, subsection 2 of the same 1999 Constitution, which stipulates that anybody who is to be pronounced as a minister of the Federal Republic must be screened by the Senate of the National Assembly. That's what that section says. But then, like Jide also said, when was the name of Muhammadu Buhari, the president, put forward as a minister? Or when was he pronounced as minister for the Ministry of we are just assuming that because it happened during the Obasanjo era, where we had a minister of state, and Obasanjo was acting as the substantive minister.
Because I don't. Okay, Obedience is calling us.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Obedience.
Thank you for
joining us.
Enlightenment and program.
All right.
Today is my first time to call in.
Okay.
Welcome.
You're
I
welcome.
want to contribute.
Okay, go ahead, Obedience.
I notice the problem we have in our country is selfishness. For you being the president and double as the Minister of Petroleum, are we saying we don't have anybody that have the integrity to have that position? And to me, I feel it's selfishness. So my contribution here, please, you know, usually of course, the president should give out that position because someone can handle that position, capable to handle this position.
Thank you, Obedience. Thank you for your contribution. Asuko.
Exactly. You know, the thing is, since the president didn't come out expressly to say he's the Minister of Petroleum, we all assume that he is the Minister of Petroleum. I remember vividly that period. He mentioned Ibe Kachuku as the Minister of State Petroleum. And then everywhere was just, okay, who is going to be the Minister for Petroleum? But eventually, he didn't mention.
We're sure.
I think he didn't mention.
We check the records
because we
now.
need to
There's
check
no
the
place
record
that the
where
President Buhari finds himself.
I am the one that is going to.
Somebody said, somebody sent me a message that he actually pronounced himself as
Minister for
Petroleum. That's what somebody said.
During we need to see the visuals.
Swearing of ministers.
We need to check the visuals again.
Okay.
Because it's not enough officially. Officially is different from merely
pronouncing. Because officially is supposed to go through the Senate.
So which record of that?
And which I am very sure that even if he pronounced himself as the minister, you know, everybody would have known. And then maybe, but just like Femi Falana said, I think the best thing is the workload is too much. If the president can, you know, leave that.
So unbundle the president.
Let him just allow, you know, so that there will be peace. But I don't know. Agbakoba, a fine lawyer, son, I've you know, those days, you know,
campaign for democracy.
Campaign for democracy. Then we used the man is so passionate about Nigeria. I feel him. But the problem is this particular case that he wants to go. I'm not sure he can win that case because I've been able to, yes, you see CLO too. I've been able to look through some of, I don't know if
it's even CLO.
I've been able to,
for democracy.
I've been able to look at some of his prayers. I don't know.
First president of CLO.
You know, one of the prayers is that the crisis between Kachuku and Baru will affect the country's revenue capacity. He has to prove that. You know, and also that the crisis will affect the development in the country. You know, these are things that once you get to the court, you have to show evidence that this thing is going to affect the revenue. And this thing is going to...
substantive matter is matter of the president.
He's a very tall and, I don't know.
Oluwafemi is calling us from Lagos, Babaji. Oluwafemi is calling us from Lagos.
Yeah.
Thank you, Femi. Good evening, Femi.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate your debate. I want to say concerning those people. Hello?
Yes, Femi, you're on.
Yeah, those people that are calling that the president should relegate that post and should appoint another person as a minister. Even some people are saying that even the three portfolio that former governor Fatula is sorry that they should spread it But in the section of this government, it was agreed that the numbers of officials being paid are too many, and they should reduce the workforce and those people that are being paid. That they should reduce the number of ministers, they should reduce the so. Then when you people are still calling that they should appoint a minister of a substantive minister for petroleum, and they should split. They should leave former Governor Fashola. The other two portfolio that is holding, they should give it to another person. Are we not going back to where we were before, when people are complaining that the workforce are too many?
Thank you, Femi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. So, reaching home stretch.
I'm going to say that, look, Section 147 vests the responsibility for establishing those offices in the presidency.
Okay.
He can choose to establish, including ministerial positions and all. He can choose to exercise those functions because the Constitution already gives him powers over executive powers. So he can choose to, by himself, keep that portion of his executive powers or decide to give someone else. So when we are even talking about that the president cannot hold any other executive position, that has nothing to do with executive powers that he already holds. You understand? That has nothing to do with executive powers that he already holds. He already holds executive powers now, which enables him to be able to appoint ministers and put them in different positions. But powers outside of that are the ones that we are talking about. You can choose to hold on to that position, just as Section 5 has said.
All right. The myths, moving on. The myths surrounding the title Are Ona Kakanfo. Are Ona Kakanfo sends shivers down the spines of nominees penned down for the position across Yoruba land. That name literally means war leader of the Yoruba race. Fear of what is likely to become of them after assuming such daring position ensured the vacuum remained for years. 19 long years rolled by after the deaths of the last Are Ona Kakanfo. That's birth. The quest for his replacement is finally over. Alafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi Ikubabayeye, named Otumba Gani Adams the new Are Ona Kakanfo of Yoruba land. But does that cap fit the OPC strongman? Is it truly in the class of great men who once held that title? MJ, Ladoke Agitola was the one before MKO Abiola.
If Latosa, Are Latosa, is not
Latosa.
No, it's not Latosa. It is Latosa.
Latosa.
Yes, but people call it Latosa. But then, if he had been the last Are Ona Kakanfo, we would have said, fine, Gani Adam cannot fit into that shoe or cannot wear that cap. But then, recall that Akintola SLA became Are Ona Kakanfo because he was premier of the Western region. Abiola MKO, was he a warrior? Became Are Ona Kakanfo because of his philanthropist activity. So, for Otumba Gani Adams, he became Are Ona Kakanfo after the Oyomesis consulted and gave Alafin of Oyo their recommendation, which he endorsed. And from what we've been hearing about Otumba Gani Adams, he has been championing the cause of the Yoruba race. Age is not even an issue here. Fine is 47, but then even Alafin of Oyo became the Alafin of Oyo before the age of 30, at about 25 or 26. He became the Alafin of Oyo. So is eminently and duly qualified to occupy that position. And over time, you can recall what Asiwaju Bola Tinubu said in his congratulatory letter to both the Alaafin and the incoming Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò. It's not an issue of age or being a warrior, but then this is somebody who, since 1999, has been championing the cause of the Yoruba race in terms of our culture and heritage. In terms of, I mean, he's been sponsoring this the Olokun Festival, which has grown to international status. Yeah, exactly. Then he has set up the Odua Progressive Union, OPU, in 78 countries.
Yeah,
that's on Facebook. That's the international. That's the international chapter. The local wing is the Odua People's Congress, and the Yoruba people. I mean, even Freddy Fashion, I mean, is in sync with this appointment, who is supposed to be his enemy. So I think Alaafin of Oyo, in his wisdom as a custodian of Yoruba tradition, because if you hear the history of Yoruba from Alaafin of Oyo, you will know that this man actually knows history and is what is sought. And I think he should be commended for taking that decision. It's the repository of culture.
Babajide, I want us to look at the antecedent of Otuba Gani Adams. How did he get here? And a lot of people just look at yesterday before that it was just a product of the post-June 12 crisis.
Yes. Yes, of course, even Freddy Fashion became popular in the aftermath of the June 12 crisis. And Gani Adams has paid his dues, no doubt about it. I've read some ridiculous stuff on Facebook, some of it by people who are not Yorubas, who are trying to determine for Yorubas.
More Catholic than the Pope.
You see, people who are not Yorubas asking questions about a title that they know nothing about. This is the Akikonjus, the warriors. And you can't tell me that in this modern age that Gani Adams has not shown that he's a warrior. Even look at even this case in Ikorodu. These boys murdering people at night.
The police had to invite him.
They had to invite him. And the moment, we challenged him here. On this program, we challenged Gani Adams that he should wade into that crisis.
The Bado.
Yes.
And within 48 hours, the police reached out to him, and Gani Adams and his boys went to Ikorodu. And since that time, this whole thing has died down. So, and let's not even forget, around 1999, 2000, when armed robbery became such a big problem in Lagos.
So streets
Gani
by streets.
Gani Adams faction
virtually
of the OPC
was giving Lagos Southwest.
Dealt with the problem.
Security.
So this guy has been a good representative of the Yoruba people.
If you remember, if they mention OPC now, it's synonymous with security.
Yes.
Go and take OPC. Go and call OPC. Any streets.
Yes.
We have two OPC.
People restore the pride. You see, in the past, when they look at the Yoruba one, they will say they are cowards. Gani Adams, in Lagos especially, showed that the Yoruba people can actually be very courageous. So that you can no longer say, so Yorubas, they run away from fights, they are cowards. He showed that that is not true. I am not preaching violence. But you can see that where violence as represented by drug addicts, as represented by armed robbers, became a problem in this part of the country, Gani Adams stepped forward to be counted. And his boys put down the problem at that time. So the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò title, there is nowhere it is written that it has to be someone from a wealthy family, that you must be above 60 years, that you must be above 70 years, that you must be a billionaire.
It is
for so many people who are there who could have taken this position. A lot of them are very devoted Muslims, very devoted Christians. The rights that should go with the installation of an Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, many of them are not even qualified. Many of the people that the critics on Facebook and other places would want to take this title are not even qualified to go through those rights. So they can't say that Gani, who has shown himself to be a repository of our culture, to be a cultural ambassador of Nigeria, of the Yoruba race, is not fit to occupy this position. Where did who told them that, who made them a judge in this matter? This is not a reality show. It's not a reality show where some judges will sit down and say, "Oh, faculty, what is your view?"
and it is not a position where you need to go and vote or
no, honestly, I think
bribe anybody.
I think it's just at the prerogative of Ikubabayi.
Yeah. You see the thing. Another thing that people are saying, oh, that I saw one ridiculous post on Facebook that someone said, oh, he took the Yorubas to the PDP. That and I said, look. Even when you look at the 2015 election, the Yorubas were divided.
Yes.
So it wasn't as if the APC had an overwhelming...
No.
Look, even in Ogun State here, and even Lagos, what is the margin of the victory?
That is it.
What is the margin of the victory? In both states, there is no... I think even Lagos was around 100,000.
About 150,000.
Around 150 or so. And in Ogun State, a little over 100 too. If it was, yes, around a little over 100. So it showed that there was balance. Some of our people wanted PDP. Some of our people wanted APC. So if Gani on his own chose to support the PDP, how does that disqualify him from a traditional title that has nothing to do with politics?
Even supported Jonathan because he promised Jonathan 6 million votes. But then we knew what happened. There was this pipeline issue, but the young man was smart enough.
Well, I don't think
he
right
has
now
the right to
he has
belong
risen.
to any party.
Yes,
That's
but right now I think he would have risen above partisan
No,
politics.
even he said he made a statement while accepting this offer. He said this new title will moderate his radicalism, which is very key.
Yeah, I've been chance to meet Gani Adams, and
having grown up in the Southwest,
exactly. I was born in the Southwest.
So
I was born in the Southwest, and I know everything about the RA because I read history too. So, and Gani Adams fits this cap perfectly well because he's courageous, he's fearless, just like my boss just said now. I've seen a couple of times where there will be violence in somewhere around, I know my auntie used to say somewhere around the Kotun. And when once OPC gets there, the peace and tranquil in that area will in fact, the way they do it, I don't even know, but I know that is the action and that is the things they've been able to do. He has this courage. He's fearless.
Yes.
And so that is that title really fits him.
Yes.
And thank God.
It's originally meant for warriors.
It's for warriors. It's not for politicians.
It's not for politicians.
It's not for people to come and begin to say, okay, somebody has to vote for me. No. It's someone that can always stand out and fight for his people. And he has been able to do that.
He's passionate about the Yoruba race.
I tell you, because if you look at that Oloku festival, it has been going on for years.
It
has been going on for years. And people have been attending, and it has now gone beyond even him. So,
he has even found a way to bring youths into that young people.
Exactly.
By organizing beauty contests.
Exactly. So you won't say it is fetish in quotes. No, because so many youth are into it now.
They are saying it's a draw. Some are saying it's a school dropout.
No, you see, that is the problem.
This is the problem with us. Nigeria.
That's the problem.
The former president of Brazil was a cobbler now. Must everybody be a PhD holder? And
no,
all that?
for those that are PhD holders,
the last time he came to
he has even gone to last.
Exactly. The last time he came to the studio here.
Yeah.
So many people were saying, how is he going to speak? Do you know, he wowed us. Everybody. We were just spellbound over the Bado matter because the way he detailed everything and how they were able to quell the crisis in Ikorodu was amazing. So this is the person that fits that cap of the Are in Yoruba land.
Jide is from Arigidi, Akoko in Ondo States. I think if I get my facts right, but the bottom line is that key leaders in the Yoruba. We've been getting reactions.
Somebody even said both of his names are not Yoruba names. One is Arabic name, the other one is...
We've gotten reactions from some key Yoruba leaders,
yes,
and it has been positive so far.
Yes.
Have you seen any dissenting voice in
yes,
Yoruba race?
Let me tell you, when people are considering who should actually hold that position, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is one name that comes to mind.
Exactly.
But clearly, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not interested in that title. But he has given his support to the person who has been chosen. Even Fayose once said that the authentic leader of the Yoruba race at this time is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You conducted that interview, if you remember. He said it's Asiwaju, and that is not just Asiwaju of Lagos, it's the Asiwaju of Yoruba land.
Exactly.
So Asiwaju, by congratulating the young man, has given a seal of approval.
Exactly.
Honestly.
You know? So those abusing the guy and calling him names do not even have the locus to do that. They don't have the locus. It's not in your place to choose someone to occupy a top traditional title in Yoruba land.
MJ, your parting shots?
Yes, I think it's just to congratulate the new Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, Ààrẹ Ọ̀túnba Gani Adams. And I know you recall that he also has 52. He has 52 other chieftaincy titles
all over
across Nigeria, not only Yoruba land.
Yes.
So congrats to him.
Oh, yeah,
Yes, so because you know what, I can sleep easy.
Yes, so.
With OPC around us, you can sleep easy.
Okay, in collaboration with the police.
Yeah, exactly.
I think on behalf of the team, the crew of Journalist Hangout, we say congratulations to Otumba Gani Adams, the new Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba race. And that's all on Journalist Hangout. I want to thank you, Asuko James, Moji Jamiu, and Babajide Ositoju. Just watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. on this platforms. You can watch it 11 p.m. on DSTV 418, GoTV 45. And our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcontinental.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozuba. See you tomorrow. God bless Nigeria.